What the hell? No, 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 no!
Hello, my name is Joe and welcome to my channel. So folks, how are we feeling after that last episode? Everyone all good? Cause wow, that was a lot. Not gonna lie, the whole back half was really hard to watch, but so captivating at the same time. It makes me want to go back and rewatch the episode despite the pit I get in my stomach at certain scenes. But the resolution of this episode, particularly for Rwby and Neo, left me wondering where these last two episodes of the volume are going to go. And while there's a lot to say for Neo, this video is going to be focusing on Rwby. Though I will say, I think that either Neo isn't making it out of this volume, or if she does, the cat's coming with her. And that's gonna create a whole heck of a lot of chaos on Remnant. Who knows, maybe we could even get a sort of pseudo-Greedling dynamic with the two characters. Only, you know, with the one taking over the body not having any redeeming qualities. And Neo being, well, Neo. I mean, we are starting to run a little bit low on villains out there, so who knows? But on the Rwby front, I'm going to be talking about who might help her either work her way through the Ascension process or come back from the Ascension process. Because honestly, I don't know which way it's gonna go, and that is probably a good place to start. So, one thing that makes what happens going forward harder to predict is that we still don't actually know what the Ascension process means for humans. We've heard that it's rebirth, we've heard that it's the tree absorbing you, we've heard that it's breaking you down and wiping you from existence. But all of these are from really unreliable sources because none of them have seen it happen to a human. And that's not even taking into account the blacksmith, who we still have a trailer line we haven't heard yet. I'm guessing that the blacksmith, as well as whoever the narrator is, are going to be really important to whatever this process actually means. I have a feeling it will have some application of Rwby and Alex trading identities, or at the very least Rwby seeing what actually happened to Alex at the tree. I mean, the mystery of it, along with the imagery from the intro, is too big of a Chekhov's gun to be left unfired. In the end, I have the feeling she will not completely ascend and lose her memories, but will instead move forward from her attempt and re-embrace who she is. Maybe with a bit of a physical transformation as a visual metaphor for her change in perspective. But that brings up the question of whether she will get to that point on her own or with help. Now, for most shows, I would assume Rwby gets to this point on her own. The classic hero finding their resolve and overcoming their mental and emotional hardships. But I don't think that's going to be the case here. It feels like it would be contradictory to the point of her arc this volume that she doesn't need to carry the weight of the world on her shoulders all alone. Plus, there would be kind of an iffy implication to go along with that. You know, throughout the series, there have been a number of times when I saw a lot of my own teenage self in Rwby, particularly in Volume 1 and now in Volume 9. It's one of the reasons Jaune is my favorite character. While I do relate to him in a lot of ways, he's also the kind of friend I wish I'd had when I was in high school. And that's also why the back half of this episode hit very close to home for me. I think that the implication of the tea drinking scene is pretty clear. And ever since I was 16 or 17, even up till today sometimes, I've had a lot of dark thoughts. Thoughts that have tried leading me toward my own tea. It took me a long time to realize I could open up to people and ask them for help. That I didn't have to get through the bad times with duct-taped conviction and a dream. So because of the implications, I think it would be kind of a bad look to have Rwby need to find her way alone in this time. But who is gonna help her? Now, I think the most likely case is that it's gonna be Little that helps Rwby. Little had to be introduced for a reason. And yes, they did get crushed, but they also very notably fell with Rwby. Little is probably going to help her and find their purpose in mending hearts, kind of an uncorrupted version of the cat. That's what makes the most sense narratively, and what's probably gonna happen, though I also have this crack theory that Rwby and Little are gonna merge in some way, thus fully making Little Red Riding Hood, but that's a bit iffy, I think. Though it would connect somehow to the Faunus creation myths. Maybe something to keep in the back of the mind. Unfortunately, while this is the most likely case, it's also my least favorite. I like Little, sure, but I'd just prefer if it were a character we had more of a connection to. Though it does make sense since it's not always a close friend or family member to help you through your dark times. Still, I'd prefer if it were one of the other two options, those being either Jaune or the rest of Team Rwby, and particularly Yang. And both of these actually do have pretty notable reasons why they could be the case. Starting with Jaune, there's multiple long-term meta reasons I think he should be the one to help Rwby, but you can see those in my video on why he's her best foil. For this, I just want to focus on two moments from this season. The scene where Jaune was falling into the Ever After, and the scene with Jaune surrounded by fire in the intro. Starting with the former, one thing that always felt a little weird to me was the fact that Jaune crossed paths with Crescent Rose as it was falling. I mean, Rwby and Neo didn't make total sense to meet up on the fall, but Crescent Rose straight up fell like 5 minutes before Jaune. Obviously, it was so Jaune could bring Rwby's weapon to her, but it was still weird along with Crescent Rose's weird aura. However, it would make a lot more sense from a writing perspective if it was also foreshadowing that Jaune would follow Rwby into the Ascension process, hoping to bring her back out of it after it was his response that pushed her away. This scene was also the only other time this volume we see from someone's POV other than Rwby. Maybe these POV moments were representing the tree looking through their eyes into their pasts. Then there's the flame scene in the intro, and given who Jaune is based on, it's pretty concerning, not gonna lie. But if Jaune follows Rwby into the Ascension process to help her get out of it, it could be a red herring and indicative of the flames burning away the years he spent in the Ever After, letting him be reborn as the Jaune we knew. Or at least some kind of combination between the Jaune we know and the Rusted Knight. It would make a certain amount of sense, I think. Both Rwby and Jaune have gone through the ringer and ended up very tortured this volume. So this might be a good way to go through their darkest point to find the light again. Honestly, I hope this is the case because 1, I don't want Jaune to die for a multitude of reasons, only some being my personal biases, and 2, I have thoughts about Jaune being aged up like he was, which I will cover in an entire volume review once it's finished. But how he's handled from here is gonna have a pretty big impact on my thoughts about the volume. Also, what Jaune said to Ren last volume is kind of the thing that Rwby needs to hear right now, so I don't know, I just think that he would be the most narratively satisfying, but who knows. Moving on, the other option is Team Rwby, primarily Yang. And this too would make a lot of sense. Yang sacrificed herself at the end of last volume and was clearly the most devastated by seeing Rwby drink the tea. Her being able to go to Rwby to help her, especially to try and work through the obvious trauma Rwby is experiencing regarding Summer, would be really cathartic for both of them, I think. Plus, when they met back up, Rwby straight up implied that if they hadn't fallen, she'd have gone after Yang anyway, because Yang was the person who raised her. It would be a really strong callback if she did the same for Rwby. Weiss and Blake would help too, obviously, but I feel like theirs would be more obvious friend/teammate support, rather than the deeper aspects that Yang or even Jaune might have. No matter who helps Rwby, I really hope someone does, because regardless of any semblance, Silver Eyes, or main character energy, nobody should have to feel like they're alone. But hey, those are just my thoughts. What do you think? Agree? Disagree? Who do you think should be the one to help Rwby through this process? Let me know in the comments down below. And, subscribe. Till next time, safe journeys, my friends.